Doris Yodeling Bus, episode number 6. G'day folks, and welcome to Doris Yodeling Bus, a fortnightly podcast about the unsung hero of the music industry, the tour bus. I'm your host, my name is Jonno, and my guest today is a Brizzy-based folk singer, songwriter, guitarist and troubadour, the aptly named Ramblin Ash Constance. Ash, thank you so much for joining me today.
No worries, thanks for having me.
Now, if you're anything like me, you're going to absolutely hate this, but let me quote your bio.
Oh, God.
I thought so.
I gotta go.
The rollicking rough and tumble of a true traveller, she will break your heart and charm your socks off and leave you longing for life on the road. So I am ready to have my heart broken and my socks charmed off. What do you love about life on the road?
Well, not sure if I can... Even wearing socks? Let's see. Yes, you are.
I'm wearing socks.
But no shoes, so it's going to be easier. Okay, you made my job easy today. Yeah, I don't know. I've always travelled as a kid. We'd go on road trips, travel in caravan up and down the coast. I think I just feel more at home on the road. Mm-hmm. I've been travelling since I was about 16, so if I'm stay still for too long, it's just, it's not a good feeling. So
yeah, and where does music fall into that?
Well, I didn't really mean to be a musician. I played an open mic in Brisbane at Lefties a while back, and I'd just been sort of jamming on my guitar, and I played one song that was an original, because I had maybe 2 original songs, and then someone said, can you do a gig? It's a 45-minute original sort of gig, and I'm like, yeah, sure. And so that week, because it was in a week's time, I wrote 45 minutes of originals, and then started getting more gigs, and I'm like, oh God, this is happening. I didn't plan for this, and then I just thought, well, why don't I tour, because it's an excuse to travel. And so I started organising tours, and then it's kind of like I'm like the sort of musician that never was meant to be a musician. But
isn't that funny? Because most people I talk to, it's kind of the other way around. They were musicians and they went, oh, well, how do I make this a living? And I guess what I'll have to do is travel. It sort of seems it's kind of a bit backwards, where you wanted to travel and then you just sort of fell into being a musician.
Exactly. I didn't mean for it to happen, but that's how it turned out.
So tell me about your first tour then.
Okay, trying to think of like what I've done lots of festivals where we had to travel a lot and we do gigs on the way and stuff. But my first proper tour was an East Coast tour, and it was with Ruby Gilbert, who's an Americana singer from Brisbane. And it was very interesting because we were in my old Ford Futura wagon. Which I like to joke, we are living in the Futura, because that's how funny I am. And it doesn't run that well. It's just full of crap always. So it's not the best traveling vehicle, but we made it. We went and we camped, and because it was cold and she was younger, she's my little young friend.
Right.
And so I slept out in the swag, and she slept in the back of the car because it's warmer and safer. But it was interesting. It was I think it was 6 or 7 shows down the East Coast, and over about a month. And it was a time. Lots of camping. I do, instead of staying at hotels and stuff, I like to just go find the free camps, because it's what I usually stay in. And we meet lots of really strange people along the way, and I think that makes it a whole lot more fun. So
who's the strangest?
We meet really lovely people, but lots of them, because they're really bogan, sort of outbacky people, they're also very kind of like racist, and so you're like, this person's so nice, and then all of a sudden they're like, how about those immigrants, hey? And you're like, whoa, okay, let's play some songs. But there's always strange people like that. Like I've woken up in my car on tour and had an old lady hand me like a sandwich and a can of Coke through the window, because she thought I was like a homeless person. She's like, here you go, love, if you're hungry. I'm like, oh, cheers. Like, that's fine.
I'll take it.
I'm
not homeless, I'm just a musician.
But yeah, there's always some very strange people that just hover about the place. But
do you feel like you attract them?
Oh, of course, yeah, definitely. I've always found that there can be sort of like that sort of on the corner of the street crazy person, and they'll see me and they sort of cross the road to me.
Yeah.
And it's like they just know that I'm the sort of person that will actually talk to them, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Brilliant. So cars and camping, that's the way you've always toured, or have you done the occasional van and sleeping in the back of it, or Greyhound buses and the kindness of strangers? And
yeah, well, I did. I've done some sort of like hitching Greyhound bus traveling. I did I think it was a 28-hour bus trip from Northern Territory back to Brisbane once, which was insane. And I do like sleep I've lived in the back of my Futura wagon for almost a year, just traveling about the place. And
yeah, right.
But my recent tour around New Zealand, we had a hire car, which was packed to the brim, and we stayed in Airbnb, so that was really nice.
Yeah.
It was very fancy and
kind of home away from home.
Yeah. And there were some strange ones there, but also some really nice people that we met. So it was great.
Lifelong friends, or just
just
pop in and...
Well, with the folk scene especially, like you can just sort of put a post online being like, anyone know anyone? And then so we stayed with an amazing banjo maker in I think it was Dunedin. Yeah. At the end of our tour, and he had like this beautiful workshop and had made all these banjos, and so I was traveling with a banjo player, Dennis Dagan, and it was like heaven because he's like, oh my god, all these. So we get to meet really cool people along the way.
Excellent. That's fantastic. Hey, you've toured with a lot of people. Is it one thing to find good musicians? It is one thing to find good musicians to record with, but a whole other thing to find people who you can tour with. What's more important, being a good musician or being someone you can work with and live in a Ford Futura with?
That's true. I think better that you can sort of spend time with them and not want to kill them.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know how people survive with me for that amount of time, but they do okay. I think I'm the more annoying person to travel with because I'm always doing something weird, and if I see a river, I have to jump in it, and that sort of thing. I think they do pretty well. I think it balances out the annoyance of people and me. So like I can annoy them if they annoy me for a bit, and there's always that kind of thing. But I was just lucky to have amazing musicians who I also get along with.
Yeah.
So
yeah. See, because that to me, that would bug me on the road, absolutely, because I have to get to where I'm going to.
Yeah.
And then if I've got some spare time, I'll, do something and explore a bit then.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's sort of finding a scent and kind of going,
that's very much me.
Like, let's go do this now. You're like, I really want to, we've got to get to, so I don't know, maybe that you and I would
probably
work so well on that.
Well, when I toured with Ruby, she doesn't have a license.
Right.
And so we'd be driving and, it'd be an 8-hour drive and then the next gig. And so I'd wake up in the morning, pack the car, and she'd sort of be in her pajamas, and then she'd get dressed along the way and be doing her makeup and her hair in the car. And we'd arrive at these gigs and I'd just be like, half in pajamas, my hair's everywhere, like I haven't got any makeup on or anything. And it would just be like, and she'd sort of just waltz out being like, just looking like a fresh, beautiful daisy. And I'm just like this gross, like street hobo. So that was, but I think driving all the time, like I'd get so tired and she's just sort of napping there on the side.
It's all very rock star for Ruby.
Yeah. Lucky her.
Maybe I should interview her. Her experiences might be a bit different.
Yeah.
It's like, no.
Yeah. She's like,
touring on the road's easy.
It's totally, that's pretty much her. But I love her, so it's fine.
Yeah, excellent. Have you toured much with her since that tour?
We did another tour down the East Coast together, and we're planning another one, hopefully. We have so much fun together that we sort of just want to do it again and again. But the last tour we had, along the way, we switched cars, and her friend Tiani came to join us, and so that when we switched into a Suzuki Swift, and we went all through we went all the way down to Melbourne and back up, and we ended up going and getting a gig last minute in Bega, which is just like the worst. It was the worst gig.
I used to live near there as well.
Because the friends of ours who were staying with in Newcastle and did a show with, they wanted to go to Pride weekend, I think.
Okay.
And then, so they were just like, can you take this gig for us? I'm like, yeah, okay. So we went down, and it was like this gross, like late night pub gig. And it was just, everyone was like I don't like, it looked like they come from the mines or something. Like they were just all like, it's just very strange. But
Which pub was it? I'll cut it out.
it was the Royal or the Orient or the, like the generic pub name.
Generic
like
pub
the
name?
corner pub, I don't know. The pub, the bigger hotel.
Yeah,
I don't know,
right.
something like that.
That's interesting because the entire Bega Valley is a contradiction because there are so many fantastic musicians that come from that area.
Yeah.
And at the same time, there's so many gigs and experiences like that where it's just like, what am I doing here?
Yeah.
These people don't get like original music. They just want to hear Kaysan.
Yeah. But we decided to do it because we were like, it's a bit of extra money and we're kind of heading that way. But we were actually heading to Bright in like the Snowies around that area, and which is gorgeous.
Yeah.
But then we went to Bega and then had to cut through the mountains.
You'd have to go over the...
Yeah. And the girls didn't, because they don't really drive that often, they don't understand the difference between Google Maps and Apple Maps. And Apple Maps took us on this wild adventure, and we like ran out of fuel and in the Suzuki Swift trying to get up this hill with all this gear, and it was just like couldn't even go, and it was just this crazy. But we eventually got to Bright, which was our favorite town.
Yeah.
Because it's just so beautiful, and we
Yeah.
camped there and had baked potatoes. And
Excellent. That's wonderful.
I slept wrapped in a tarp because I was like, I don't need a tent. It's not going to... And then it rained, and so,
Of course. Yeah, I love Bright. It's beautiful. I used to play in a town near Bright called Wandillagong, the Wandy pub.
Yeah.
I used to play there, but I did a very, very similar thing the first time I went there, where I think I went down the Monaro Highway in the days when, like before Apple Maps and before Google Maps, and it was just like a GPS that I don't think had been updated for a number of years. And it was like, well, this is the shortest route.
Yeah.
Not taking into account Alpine highways.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So I did a very similar thing, and I think what should have been about a maybe 4-hour drive from Canberra ended up being 7 or something.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
That happened to us. And then because it was taking us around all the towns because it was kind of quicker.
Yeah.
But then it just took us away from every petrol station in the area, and we'd gotten up over the range and we're going back down. So we just had the car like in neutral, just like gliding down this hill, praying that we'd find a town at some point. And eventually we did, but we were basically on, like the fuel light was beeping at us and we just kind of putted and rolled into this little servo town. I don't know even know where it was, but we made it.
Yeah.
Is the main thing.
You learn a lot about yourself in a crisis like that.
Yeah.
And your car as well.
Yeah.
You just reminded me of the perfect phrase as well. You know the old saying, up shit creek without a paddle?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I can't remember where I heard it, but someone said I was up shit creek with Apple Maps.
Yeah. That I can understand that.
That's the most beautiful.
That's so relatable.
And if you'd like to find out when Ramblin Ash will be rambling through your town, you can find her on Facebook. Just search Ramblin Ash. That's without the G. You can also find her on Instagram. You can find heaps of her tunes on YouTube. And, of course, all over iTunes and Spotify. And while you're there, don't forget to subscribe to the podcast so that you'll be the first to know whenever a new episode comes out. All right, let's get back to it. Hey, so when you and Ruby are in the car and you're driving up and down the East Coast and she's doing her makeup and you're, just trying to keep you alive, who gets to choose the music that you listen to?
Well, that's the thing. I actually, she made a playlist of boy band bangers, which was like 90s boy band, all the hits, and I Want It That Way by the Backstreet Boys was on there like probably 30 times. And so that was like our keep awake music. Yep. And so if I was going to like boy band bangers playlist, otherwise she got to choose. And then I had, there's an album by Fionn Regan, which is one of my favorite musicians, and it's just so beautiful and quiet. And so if she was getting cranky, I'd put that on and she'd fall asleep. Okay. So that was like, so it kind of was a mix, I think. In the end, you get that kind of anxiety about like, is this person hating my favorite album?
Yep.
Yeah. So it was almost better for her to choose the music because then I'm just like, cool, she's enjoying it, it's fine. Whereas if I was like, let's put this on, and she's sitting there like, oh, this is great. So yeah, I kind of hate people. Like I don't want them to judge my favorite music. Yeah. So yeah.
I think it's a good technique. That's also how I like to do road trips with good 90s playlists.
Yeah. We also do the game where, so like at one point there were 3 of us in the car, and you'd say, okay, like you'd pass around the Spotify and you'd say like, okay, what song best describes like the person you have a crush on right now, and then like you pick songs and like you each play, and you like what song best reminds you of your childhood, and then everyone plays that song of theirs.
That's
and
great.
So you get to know each other. Like
That's a great game.
Yeah, it kind of passes the time, and yeah.
All right, so now I'm going to ask you this: what song reminds you of your crush?
Oh, I don't think I have a crush right now.
Okay, then what song reminds you of your childhood?
Probably oh gosh, like Dwight Yoakam singing Guitars and Cadillacs and hillbilly music.
Cool.
Yeah. We had that on repeat. I think like my dad constantly played country music, and that song, or that whole entire album, I didn't listen to it for years. And then once I heard one of the songs, I was like, oh, what's that album? And I remembered, like I realized I knew the entire thing from start to finish.
Yeah.
It was just like my brain, like this is why I'm so bad at maths, is because like
it's full of country music.
It's full of Dwight Yoakam, yes.
That's
so
awesome.
Probably that, yeah.
That's I'm the same with Paul Simon.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Graceland album. It is just so deeply entrenched in my brain.
Yeah.
That I can hear it like a mile away. If it's playing in a mall, or something like that, you can't really hear the music.
Yeah.
I don't know, my ears just tune into it. It's incredible how that.
Do you do the thing where you can kind of almost like sing all the guitar parts as well?
Yeah.
Like like every little, and like the little drum bit, and that's
a classic. What's your ideal tour bus? Like, what's your dream tour bus? If you could get anything.
Okay. So I'm a secret fan, like massive fan of rap. And it's weird. Like I'm either listening to like pretty folk and country or like hardcore rap.
Yeah.
And so I watch like lots of documentaries on rappers with their tour buses and things. And I want one of those tour buses.
Yeah.
Like just like I want to go on a tour where you have like the crazy bus that's like painted and with like, the band logo.
Yep.
And, and the insides is full of like drugs and alcohol.
Yep.
Like I don't really drink, but like I just want that as well. Just like as long as there's like
the
piles
vibe.
of cocaine and like bottles of Hennessy, and then I can just be like, cool, this is my tour. And then, but inside I'd just be like drinking tea or whatever. But I just want the bus. Just because I watched so many documentaries of like rappers with this like badass tour bus and like this is where we keep the women, and I'm like, cool. That's what I want.
Sign Ash up.
Yeah. Where do I get this record deal that gives me that? But yeah, that's the dream. The dream.
Is that how you? Or I mean, I guess it's different for you because you had always travelled, and like we said earlier, you sort of fell into music and combined the love of those. But is that sort of how you saw being a touring musician?
No, I always saw being like. I always thought I'd just be hitchhiking. I didn't even think I'd get a car. So I always thought I'd just be sort of like hitchhiking around playing music. There's what a lot of people don't know if they are just into like the mainstream like country music or folk is that there's actually all these traveling musicians who travel in buses and vans and play in the free camps. And I've met up with some of them. There's a couple called Pete and Sandy Smith, and they used to have this big bus, and it was like their traveling country show, and they have like a dog that yodels, and it's like this wild, and now they've got puppets and they do whip cracking, and it's just this crazy thing that they do. And they travel all over Australia, and like I've met up with them in just like in Wagga at the free camp, and then like out in the outback, and they'll pull into the free camp where there's like hundreds of people just camping, and they stay there. I think there's like a week limit in some of them.
Okay.
And they'll set up their bus, put the microphones out, and everyone will just bring their camp chairs, and all of a sudden you've got 100 people watching you play in this middle of nowhere. So like that's like I had that kind of idea of touring, and then I was just going to do that, and then because people started asking me to play shows, I just was like, okay, and then I was doing proper tours. So, yeah.
Is that something that you would do maybe later on?
I think I could like definitely see myself as an old lady with a bus doing some weird like with a yodeling dog, of course. Yeah, like you got to have that. Like.
How do you teach a dog to yodel?
Yeah, well, like that Chad Morgan song, the Sheik of Scrubby Creek.
No.
Oh, okay. So if you're gonna listen to it, just for a bit of reference, but he has this like weird yodel, but he sounds like a dog being strangled or something. Like it's hilarious, but also terrible. But it's meant to be terrible.
Yeah.
But they actually sing that song, and then they've trained the dog to do the yodel part of that song. So it's hilarious when they actually do it. But I don't.
See, that's amazing, and most people would never know that this exists.
Yeah.
Because they're just playing in campgrounds.
Yeah.
That's incredible. So how does it work? Do they do this for a living? Do people pay tips or?
Yeah, so they said, because I had some CDs with me, and put your CDs out, and you think you play a normal show and you might sell 4 or 5 CDs because people come up and like your music. But at this, and I said they're like, I'll put your CDs out and put $20 on them. I'm like, that's too much for a little EP. But if you put 20, people will come up and buy your CD because they're all traveling. They're always in their car, and they want to support you as a musician because you're giving them entertainment basically. And I sold I think one of those shows I sold maybe 20 CDs. And just I was like, cool, this is a good income.
That's great.
Yeah.
I don't remember the last time I sold 20 CDs.
Yeah. And it was they're really supportive and really lovely, and they play lots of the bush ballad festivals. So. And the bush ballad festivals run in circuits around Australia. So they'll be in outback regions, and the same 100 caravans will go from festival to festival. And so it'll take 4 weeks because each festival goes for a week.
Yeah.
And they're all people who like to play music, love to listen to music. So Pete and Sandy do those as well.
Yeah.
So.
And most of these people, would you call them, professional musicians, or are they just amateurs who are traveling the country who just play guitar or know a few songs?
So some of the people at these festivals, they'll have been playing music, and it's specifically one type of music. It's Australian bush ballad music, but they would have been doing it since they were 30, and now they're 70, 80. So it's all Grey Nomads that travel, and they're just really supportive and lovely, and they just really love.
And they love you being a young person.
Yeah. But they're also very picky. You have to play the music how they want to hear it. Otherwise, it's very
Okay.
Yeah. But
so as soon as you've unlocked the key,
it's all about the pick strum and the not singing in an American accent, and
yes,
and they're kind of a bit wary of me because I don't really have a strong Australian accent. So they're always like, "But where are you from?" And I'm like, "Australia." But where were you from before that? I'm like, Australia. I don't know.
The suburbs.
Yeah. Not the outback.
This fascinates me. This absolutely fascinates me because it's a subculture that I never knew existed. And even at folk festivals that I've been to, I've never been exposed to this kind of thing. So it's even that's too mainstream for them.
Yeah, well, there's also people like Graham Roger, who's a really well-known bush balladeer in Australia, and he does a tour every year, and it's called the Tag-Along Tour, and he'll decide where he's going, and all of these people in caravans will follow him across the country, and he plays every night.
Wow.
So it's insane, because you'd think, imagine doing a tour where all these people followed you and had to watch you every night for 5 weeks.
Do you play the same songs every night?
Oh, he does play some of the same songs, and people make requests, and then he has people doing walk-ups, and he'll have some friends, and it's kind of they really put a lot into the performance and the comedy behind it, and then there's some serious songs, and it's just I met up with them in Swan Hill once because a friend of mine was playing guitar for his tour, and they had a huge group of people at the Swan Hill. It was along the river. It's a historical village.
Yeah.
They put a big show, so locals came, but then also everyone that was there, and they put on food for people. It's just this crazy, but it does it every year, and it's really popular. So.
Yeah, it's like a Grateful Dead, like an Aussie Grateful Dead kind of.
Yeah. It's unless you actually saw these things, you probably wouldn't believe that they exist.
Yeah, I don't believe it exists at all.
Yeah, I went to uni for a while and did some studied music there, and there was this lecturer who was saying no one buys CDs. This is how the music industry works. I'm like, no, you don't understand. There's this whole other thing, and they're like, nope, that doesn't count. I'm like, if you can make a living off it, it counts. Yeah. And if it's fun and it's then it's definitely a legitimate part of the music industry. But they just have never heard of it. So, yeah.
Why do you think it's country music specifically that this happens in?
It's because it's the older generation that really liked that bush ballad thing, and I don't know why or how it started, but I think lots of them just became Grey Nomads with their caravans, and then decided, why don't we just make music festivals? And the music festivals are they're not like a music festival that you go to normally. They're kind of there's no set times. And so I've played a few, and they'll be oh, you're playing in 5 people.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, well, how long is that? And then you arrive after 5 acts, and oh no, we're going to put you on after this next one. or maybe the next one, but then come back and I'm like, oh God, it's like, so you just have to be there. Like everyone just has to be there all the time.
Yeah.
Like it's just this thing. But yeah, I don't know how it began and how.
See, I did an interview for the podcast with a musician who did the Warp Tour, the Vans Warp Tour.
Yeah.
And it's very similar in that they get up every morning and they don't know the schedule. I mean, when the schedule comes out, it's a bit more rigid, but the same thing. It's you rock up in the morning and they go, all right, you guys are playing at this time, you guys are playing at this time, you guys are playing at this time, and then you sort of work your day out around that. So
maybe we should get the people from the Warp Tour and the Bush Balladeers and do like the
Vans Bush Balladeer.
Balladeers tour. And all the punks can hang out with all the Grey Nomads.
I think there's something to that, because in the punk scene there's a real sense of community, and which sounds very similar to this as well. So maybe there's something in that for punk bands to do a Grey Nomad tour. Yeah.
It could work.
Maybe it'll happen. Maybe when we're Grey Nomads.
Yeah.
Because that's also another interesting point is, do you think that maybe that's a dying art, the Bush Balladeer?
I think the Bush Ballad, that's definitely dying out. And there's like only a few young people who still do it the same way. There's a guy called William Alexander from Burke, and he does it, and he's like now really cool in like the hip indie country scene because they're like, wow, what is this? Like, what is this music? But it's just kind of what everyone's been doing forever. So, but then there's also people like Archer, the old-time sing-song man, who...
I saw him just down the road last year.
Oh, cool, yeah. So, like, he kind of plays that bush ballad music, and people hear his songs and like, oh, he's got the most amazing songs on his album. And I'm like, well, most of those are covers.
Yeah.
But people just don't know about that old music. But I think it is dying out, and there's only going to be a few people who really do it. But people like Archer and William Alexander, they're sort of bringing it back, but in a different way. Not traditional, like how it is traditionally. But yeah, and I don't even play that style of music, but when I go out there, I do, because it's what they want.
It's what they expect.
I'm like, I know I'm going to get hunted down by some old grandma if I don't play the right songs.
That's wonderful. Hey, that brings us to the lightning round, Ash.
Oh, gosh.
Let me get my game show card out, because I always dreamed of being Tony Barber.
Yes, one day you may be, if you work hard enough at it.
I don't think it's going to happen. Okay. So we're going to play a game of Would You Rather.
I'm not quite ready. I'm ready.
Okay. And here's the scenario. I'm going to ask you 5 questions. The scenario is you're on a highway in the middle of nowhere. Would you rather be a driver or passenger?
Driver.
Would you rather run out of petrol or get 3 flat tires?
Ooh. Depends who's chasing me.
Oh.
Are there like aliens or something? I don't know. Maybe
You took that in a whole other direction.
Yeah, because I don't know. Am I under threat?
No, you're just on tour.
Oh, okay, that's fine. Because I'm like desert highway. I'm like, is there like a serial killer? In which case, if there's a serial killer, I'll have the 3 flat tires because I can still kind of drive away from them.
Okay.
But if just on tour, then petrol.
Okay. That's one of the more interesting responses to that one. Would you rather pay $4 a litre for that petrol or have to fill up every 100 kilometres?
Wait, I'm really bad at maths because of Dwight Yoakam's in my head. God, I don't know. My car sucks for fuel, so it's probably like around that anyway.
I think you're getting more than 100 Ks per tank.
Oh, it's a pretty old car.
You might need to have that checked out then.
I think I do. Maybe $4 a litre.
Oh, okay.
I don't know.
Would you rather have no windows or no heating and air conditioning?
Depends what season. Okay, do the windows include the front?
Ooh, I've never actually thought about that. No one's asked me that.
Because if it includes the windscreen, then I definitely want windows. Because bugs in the face are not fun.
Yeah. Okay, we'll go with that.
Okay.
And finally...
Sorry, this is meant to be a lightning round, and I'm just like, let's get into this. Let's get real deep.
Well, you can stop the clock at any time. Finally, would you rather have the stereo stuck on a foreign language community station or an early mix of your first album?
I love the community stations. I'm obsessed with them, so definitely that.
Yeah?
Yeah, I could listen to them forever.
Even if you have no idea what they're saying.
Yeah, I'll work it out. You can guess if it's like an ad for like a microwave salesman or like, or like if it's the news, you can kind of tell. So I just, I vibe with it and
Excellent.
work it out eventually.
No, it's fair enough. I love it. Ash, thank you so much for joining me on Doris
thanks
the
for
Darling
having me.
Bus. And thank everyone for listening. We hope you tune into the next one. Hi there, me again. We've done a few episodes of Doris You Darling Bus now, and if you've listened to them all so far, I'd love to get some feedback. So head over to either our Facebook page and send me a message there, or go to the contact page on our website www.dorisyoudarlingbus.com and hit the email option there. Let me know what you like, what you don't like, and let me know who you'd like to hear on the show. Now, I once had a guy in Tasmania throw his prosthetic leg at me while I was on stage, so don't worry, I can take your criticism. Thanks for listening.